Good evening to all participants. We are so excited to welcome you to RUInformed, our university online lecture series for families. Thank you for joining our third lecture series. We are so excited to add our very own Chef Joshua Manny, Regional Director of Culinary Operations, to our community of resources. Chef Joshua, we're looking forward to, I think, some sizzling, tasty, and even, can I make that at home recipes? So tonight, sit back, take out your notebook, your pen or pencil, and get ready to write down ingredients. Learn what they mean to us. How can we nutritionally make it through this culinary experience of health and do it with a little let's say, a little sass, a little feistiness, and at the end of the day, a lot of good ingredients. So, without any further ado, let me and help me welcome Chef Joshua Manning, our Regional Director of Culinary Operations and our go-to expert for Taste of RUI. Joshua, thank you, and it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kit. And thank you everyone else for joining us today. That was quite the introduction. Um, I'll live up to that introduction, I promise. But thank you all for joining me today. My name is Joshua Manny, and I'm a Regional Director of Culinary Operations for RUI. Here at our communities, we have a unique opportunity to provide our residents with an intimate and holistic hospitality 365 days a year, 3 meals a day. It is our commitment to provide our residents with nutritious culinary offerings while engaging all of their senses and fostering a social and interactive environment for our culinary spaces. Today, we'll cover some food basics, some health challenges our residents may face as they age with us, and some common helpful diets that assist in combating these health concerns. We'll also cover some common recipe examples, as Dr. Kit mentioned, from our communities and our resident dining practices that foster healthy eating and social engagement. So let's hop right in. Let's start with some very basic informational level food groups, right? This might look familiar to you. You probably learned this when you're in elementary school, middle school. It's still timeless. It still applies to everything we do today. Um, these are the essential common food groups that influence all of our cooking and whole food goals. Again, I said whole food goals, and we'll hop into that next and explain exactly what that means. But the food groups today still consist of fruits, vegetables, grains, protein, and dairy. Whole foods. What are whole foods? Whole foods are foods that are minimally processed as close to their natural state as possible. That means it's not just a very expensive grocery store, although it's one of my favorite grocery stores. It's actually a food concept to try to commit to. They do not contain artificial additives, preservatives, or refined ingredients. Examples of whole foods include fruits and vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts and seeds, lean proteins, dairy. We'll hop into all of these throughout our presentation today. Eating whole foods is often associated with better health as they provide essential nutrients, fiber, antioxidants without sugars added or unhealthy fats found in the processed foods that we so greatly want to avoid. So, what are some common health concerns as we age? This is not an absolute list, but this covers a lot of the concerns we have. Here you'll see some basic health concerns, and we'll hop into some details about each of these, then follow up with common diets that aid in remedying or managing these issues. Um, we have osteoporosis, heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, blood sugar control, cognitive decline, memory loss, digestive issues, constipation, sarcopenia and muscle loss, weakened immune system, vision problems, including macular degeneration, cataract, and Parkinson's. Our foods, our main kind of processed foods, those are the kind we want to avoid. These are foods with artificial additives, preservatives, and unhealthy fats. Some examples of these are fast food, just about all fast food, chips, cookies, candy, processed meat like hot dogs and soft drinks. Sorry for my hot dog lovers out there. Getting into diabetes and blood sugar control. Diabetes is a chronic condition that affects how the body processes glucose, which is blood sugar. Glucose is the body's main source of energy, and insulin, a hormone produced by the pancreas naturally, helps regulate its levels. In diabetes, the body either doesn't produce enough insulin or can't use insulin and prioritizing healthy fats, such as avocados and olive oils. As just mentioned, let's more thoroughly define glycemic foods. Low glycemic food or food that cause a slow and steady rise in blood sugar levels after eating. They're measured using the glycemic index, the GI, which ranks food from a scale of 0 to 100 based on how quickly they raise your blood sugar. Some good examples are the following. Non-starchy vegetables like broccoli, spinach, kale, cabbage, cauliflower, zucchini, bell peppers. Some fruits, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, apples, oranges, citrus fruits, pears, and whole grain and fiber-rich carbs. Things like brown rice, quinoa, bulgur, barley, whole grain bread. Those are all great examples. Next up, let's talk about cognitive decline and memory loss. Cognitive decline refers to a gradual decrease in a person's ability to think, learn, remember, and make decisions. It's a common part of aging, but in some cases it can be more severe, leading to conditions like dementia and Alzheimer's. So what does dietary support look like for this cognitive decline? Eat a brain-boosting diet, a Mediterranean diet, including lots of omega-3s, antioxidants, like nuts and salmon, and of course, once again, avoiding processed foods and sugars. We'll cover more on these diets here shortly. Next up, digestive issues and constipation. Digestive issues refer to a wide range of conditions that affect the digestive system, leading to discomfort, pain, difficulty digesting food. These problems can range from mild, temporary discomfort to chronic conditions that significantly impact quality of life. Some examples are indigestion, constipation, irritable bowel, celiac disease, which is an intolerance to consuming gluten. Dietary support in fighting these digestive issues start with high fiber foods typically, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes. And you also want to focus on your water intake. You want to be drinking lots of water and including probiotics in our diet. Probiotics, another term I'd like to dig into a little bit here just to better define for us. Probiotics are live bacteria and yeasts that are good for our digestive system. These beneficial microbes help maintain a healthy balance of bacteria in the gut. They support immune function and promote overall well-being. Natural probiotics are found in fermented foods, which undergo a natural fermentation process that, that encourages the growth of these beneficial bacteria naturally. Yogurt, fermented foods like pickles, sauerkraut, apple cider vinegar are all key foods for probiotics. Now let's talk about sarcopenia, muscle loss. Sarcopenia is the loss of muscle mass and strength that occurs as a natural part of the aging process. It is often associated with decreased physical function, frailty, and an increased risk of falls and fractures. Its progression can be accelerated by factors such as physical inactivity, poor nutrition, and certain health conditions. Dietary support for sarcopenia looks like lean protein, mostly things like chicken breast, tofu, beans, dairy like milk and cheese, legumes, and nuts. A weakened immune system. As we age, the immune system naturally weakens. This makes older adults more susceptible to infections, chronic illnesses, and autoimmune disorders. The aging immune system becomes less efficient at fighting off pathogens, recognizing abnormal cells, and responding to vaccines. From a diet standpoint, I'm going to choose immunoboosting foods, making sure your protein intake is where it needs to be. Foods high in vitamin C, citrus fruits, bell peppers, broccoli, foods high in vitamin D, fatty fish and eggs, foods high in zinc, beans, lentils, seeds, and nuts. Omega-3 fatty acids, salmon and walnuts. You'll see the omega-3 fatty acids kind of a common theme throughout all of our diets coming up here. And again, probiotics for general gut health, which we just covered. Let's talk a little bit about vision problems, macular degeneration and cataract. Macular degeneration is a common eye condition that causes vision loss in the central part of the retina, known as the macula. This part of the eye is responsible for sharp central vision, which is necessary for activities like reading, driving, recognizing faces and loved ones. Cataract is a clouding of the lens in the eye, which leads to blurry vision. When a cataract forms, it causes the lens to become cloudy, blocking or scattering light, and can lead to vision impairment. Um, for both of these issues, dietary support means eating a nutrient-rich diet. Foods high in antioxidants, vitamin A and zinc, can help support retinal health in general. Good choices include spinach, carrots, sweet potatoes, berries, and fatty fish once again. Some good examples are salmon and mackerel. Let's talk about Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's is a neurodegenerative disorder that primarily affects the nervous system, leading to movement problems. It occurs when nerve cells and part of the brain become damaged. These neurons produce a chemical called dopamine, which helps coordinate smooth and controlled movements. When these neurons are lost, the levels of dopamine decrease, leading to difficulties in movement and other symptoms as well. Parkinson's typically progresses over time and symptoms worse gradually. It is considered a chronic and progressive condition, meaning that while it doesn't have a cure, its symptoms can be managed. And when it comes to dietary support, we focus on strong antioxidant foods, such as berries, leafy greens, again, that term, and nuts. Again, omega-3 fatty acids come into play, as well as vitamin D and calcium-rich foods. So let's talk about some common diets to combat these health concerns. We've already mentioned a few of these, but these diets are the ones we want to focus on to support our overall health, prevent chronic diseases, maintain energy levels. Let's talk about each one in detail. Mediterranean diet, DASH diet, which is dietary approaches to stop hypertension. The MIND diet, Mediterranean slash DASH intervention for neurodegenerative delay. Flexitarian diet, which is a semi-vegetarian diet. And protein-rich diet for muscle maintenance. Also anti-inflammatory diet. We'll start with probably the most popular diet of all these. It's the Mediterranean diet. It's a dietary pattern inspired by the traditional eating habits of people living in the Mediterranean region, including countries like Greece, Italy, and Spain, as mentioned previously. It emphasizes whole, nutrient-dense foods and a balanced approach to eating, which has been shown to promote heart health, longevity, and overall well-being. Fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains and brown rice, healthy fats, particularly from olive oil and salmon, which is the primary source of fat in the diet. Olive oil is rich in monounsaturated fats that help reduce bad cholesterol and improve heart health in general. Nuts and seeds are also a common source of healthy fats. You want to limit your red meat intake and processed foods like all these diets. A good example of Mediterranean style meal would be grilled salmon with quinoa and roasted vegetables. Omega-3 fatty acids from the salmon, the extra virgin olive oil being the healthy fat applied here as well. And then we'll get into the DASH diet, dietary approaches to stop hypertension. DASH diet stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. It's a dietary plan designed to help prevent and manage high blood pressure, hypertension, and reduce the risks of heart disease. This was actually developed by the National Institute of Health. The DASH diet emphasizes foods that are rich in potassium, calcium, magnesium, and fiber, while being low, in sodium and saturated fats and added sugar. The goal of the DASH diet is to reduce blood pressure by promoting heart-healthy foods and improving overall nutritional habits. It is shown to be effective in lowering blood pressure, improving cholesterol levels, and reducing the risk of heart disease and stroke. A good DASH-style meal example would include a lean protein like grilled chicken, brown rice, and a steamed vegetable like broccoli, green beans, or Brussels sprouts, which are my favorite. Hopping into the MIND diet. It's the Mediterranean and DASH diet intervention for neurodegenerative delay. The MIND diet is a dietary approach designed to promote brain health and reduce the risk of Alzheimer's disease and other form of cognitive decline. It combines elements of the Mediterranean diet and the DASH diet, focusing on foods that are particularly beneficial for brain function while limiting foods that may contribute to cognitive decline. High fiber foods, specifically low-fat dairy products, lean protein, and a reduction in salt and highly processed foods. Other foods to minimize for the MIND diet include many cheeses, butter, red meat, and sweets because of their sugars and saturated fats. We want to avoid all those. A key focus for the MIND diet focuses on anti-inflammatory compounds like polyphenols. Polyphenols are powerful antioxidants that help protect cells from oxidative stress, which can trigger inflammation. They play a role in lowering inflammation at the cellular level. Polyphenols are found in nuts, dark chocolate, olive oil, and red wine and berries. Yes, you can drink red wine in moderation. Um, Next diet is the flexitarian diet, semi-vegetarian. This diet is a flexible approach to eating that emphasizes mostly plant-based foods, but allows for occasional meat and animal products. It's a more relaxed version of a vegetarian diet where you don't have to completely eliminate meat, but aim to reduce it significantly. and an emphasis on whole grains rather than the refined grains is the goal here. Let's talk a little about that. Refined grains are grains that have been processed to remove the bran and the germ from the grain, leaving only the endosperm, the very center. This process removes many of the nutrients, the fiber, the vitamins found in the whole grain. Refined grains are found in white bread, white rice, pasta, and baked goods like pastries, cakes, cookies. So brown rice, whole wheat bread, quinoa, barley, and oats are all good examples of healthy whole grain food. Let's talk about a protein-rich diet for muscle maintenance. As we age, maintaining muscle mass becomes increasingly important for mobility, strength, and overall health. Protein-rich diet can be an effective way to support muscle maintenance in the elderly, especially when combined with strength training and exercises. This diet focuses on the amount of protein consumed each day. It's generally suggested that those partaking in a heavy protein diet uh, are about 1 gram of protein per 2 pounds of body weight, sometimes more depending on individual needs as well. So, this is just a brief summation of key nutritional takeaways, a holistic list of all the nutrients mentioned in all these diets to support um, overall health, right, for everyone, particularly as we age. We talked about calcium and vitamin D, protein, fiber, omega-3 fatty acids is common throughout all these diets. Vitamin B12, magnesium, potassium, and antioxidants. I feel like antioxidants have all the fun foods. You know, you get chocolate and red wine and antioxidants. That's pretty fun. Um, so our job here at the communities is to thread the needle, right? We have a lot of different people with varying health and wellness concerns and goals. I've displayed a couple healthy recipes that can be found in our kitchens and in our dining rooms. First up is a Catalan salmon recipe. Catalonia is a region in Spain heavily influenced by the Mediterranean diet, and the key ingredient that informs you properly of this are citrus fruit, orange, salmon, almonds, anchovies, all these full of rich omega-3s. And again, as Dr. Kit said, grab your pens, write some of this down, but we'll also have this available for you after the slide as well. Next is a colorful quinoa salad. The beauty of this dish is the amount of raw vegetables incorporated here. Not only do we have the whole grain benefit of quinoa, but you have bell pepper, spinach, ginger. All these ingredients in their basic raw state mean that the nutritional benefits are maximized to their fullest potential. The more you steam, saute, brulee, roast, the less nutrients are retained in the vegetable. So raw consumption is typically best for the nutritional piece of this. Next is delicious vegetarian garbanzo bean stew. You might think when you think about vegetarian food or flexitarian food that it's boring or a task to consume, but it's not. Uh, this recipe is delicious and flavorful and satiating. I myself find garbanzo beans to be very satisfying, but there's a deep, rich flavor that you get from the spices and the garbanzo beans here in this recipe that exemplify what we're going for here. So let's talk about our dining rooms and our communities and our responsibility to our residents. Mindful and social eating for well-being. That's a huge topic and almost in my mind just as important as all the nutrition aspects we just covered. We have a lot of talented clinicians on the call, so they can feel free to chime in here and validate me. But we need to provide our communities with spaces that are thoughtful, engaging, and ripe for social interaction. Studies have shown that elderly individuals are more likely to consume a balanced diet and eat larger portions when meals are shared with others. Social interaction during meals has been found to stimulate appetite, which is particularly important for elderly adults who may struggle with poor appetite due to aging, medications, other health conditions. Study in the Journal of Aging and Social Policy found that elderly adults eating together in group settings were more likely to meet their nutritional needs, including adequate protein, fiber, and vitamins. Encouraging our residents to dine with other people and participate in community dining programs has proven to reduce isolation as well. Social eating helps reduce feelings of loneliness, social isolation, both of which are common among our residents. Research has shown that eating with others fosters positive social interactions, improves mood, and enhances mental health. A study published in the journal Gerontology found that elderly adults who participate in regular social meals experience lower rates of depression and report better emotional and psychological well-being. Um, so sort of like I opened up our webinar with, we have a unique opportunity to interact with residents that, our dining rooms may be the only place in our communities where they are in this space 3 times a day, just about every day. And a big part of our program is the in-home style sort of hospitality that we bring to the table. We have a duty to our residents to be engaging, to stimulate all of our senses when we eat. You'll see some pictures here on the slide of one of our chefs doing a live action station. We do a lot of live action station work with our residents. Again, seeing, smelling, tasting, touching the food sometimes is just as important and impactful as the food you're eating. We have themed meals where we bring in interactive aspects of themes. Um, and then there's sort of like the day-old argument of, if someone wants a hot dog, if someone wants a hamburger, not every day, but we do provide those things for our residents as well. I'll make an argument that if a resident comes down to the dining room because they want a slice of chocolate cake, their social interactions and their engagement with our staff and with our community, the benefits of that outweigh the potential damage of a slice of chocolate cake. So these are all just examples of how we engage our residents daily and find the value in social eating and well-being um, at our communities. So with that, I'm going to give it back to Dr. Kit. Open up the floor a little bit. We can take some questions. I kind of just went over a lot of information there in a short period of time. I appreciate your time today, and I'm so happy to answer any and all questions and concerns. Thank you so much for having me.
Chef Joshua, what a way to start our evening. I can tell you what, if you did not have out your pencils and pens for recipes and you want some of those delicious recipes, that eggplant stew, Joshua, that was a little intriguing. So we might have to see you make it and taste it first, but please put your email in our chat box if you would like those recipes. We'll be glad to share with our community as a local community resource. We're always glad and excited to be of help. But Joshua, I'm going to open the floor to any live questions that we have. And I know one of the first questions that I have, you said Brussels sprouts. You had me at Brussels sprouts, Joshua. That is one of my favorite foods too now. So I'm looking at that under the DASH diet. It's glad to know I'm on the right path to nutrition. But tell us a little more about on the memory care slide. You had some discussions about some good foods just to help with cognition. And maybe we go back to that slide, Joshua, so we can share that slide and our participants can take a picture on that if they have any questions. Now, I know we have community neighbors from our community on here as well, and then we actually have communities on too as well. So those of our engagement directors that may have questions from the crowd, don't hesitate. Put it in the chat box too as well. All right, Joshua, thank you for going back to that slide as we're talking about just making sure we're aware of what could happen with cognition. And it's always to know how well we can do now to kind of combat some of those easy processes with the way we eat. So we had the mindful diet, of course, and it's good to know that we have just everyday common things that we should or may have in our actual cabinets at homes and our refrigerators. Some nuts and seeds, and Joshua mentioned blueberries and strawberries. So this is you making your grocery list sitting here. Just think about those to pack too as well. All right, Joshua, I have a question. Next question. Um, the question is from Miss Park. She asks, if I boil veggies like spinach or broccoli, do we lose nutritional value as opposed to sauteing them or roasting them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So boiling is a improvement on that nutrient retention. It's definitely better than sauteing or roasting. That dry heat sort of extracts moisture, where boiling kind of keeps it in. But I would say a great in between would be a steaming of. So you can absolutely just go right to boiling. But if you take that same pot of boiling water and you put a steamer basket on top and you just use the vapor in the air as the steam, that is the best way to cook a vegetable or many other proteins as well. Have it retain, say 80, 90% of its nutrients
Oh,
and
wow.
still be texturally pleasing as well. So a lot of the stuff is, how you cook it, right? I think back to when I was a little kid and I didn't want to eat any vegetables. Well, it turns out the vegetables I was trying to eat were mushy and bland and gross. But a light steam on some of these vegetables provides you with an amazing dining experience when you still have some texture, the nutrients are intact, but it's edible now. So that's a great question. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Park. I agree. So, any particular length of time to steam coming from the expert, Chef Joshua?
Yeah, so if we're talking, did we say broccoli and spinach? Is that what we
Mm-hmm.
said here?
Yes.
Yeah, so spinach is super quick, right? Spinach is like that. I mean, spinach will be about a minute, maybe less. But broccoli is a little bit longer, depending on how big you cut your florets. If it's a typical floret cut, say, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, we're talking 3, 4 minutes max, right? And if you want a little bit less toothiness, you can go maybe 5, 6 minutes, but you don't really want to go beyond that. That's my suggestion. And
Thank
the
you.
same would go for cauliflower and other related vegetables. Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, Chef Joshua. So, I've got another live question for you. It's a two-part question, so I'll go with first. When it comes to the diets recommending eggs, is there a cholesterol concern? And that's from our residents at the Wellington at Lake Manassas.
That's a great question. From my perspective as a chef, it's about moderation, right? It's about amount, right? It's about what fat are you cooking the eggs in, right? The best way for me to eat eggs and for you to eat eggs in general would be uh, not sautéing in butter, right? Not cooking in oils that aren't extra virgin olive oil, right? So for me, it's moderation is key there, and how you cook it. So for me, the best way, I love soft boiled eggs. Everyone knows that to boil eggs, it takes typically about 11, 12 minutes in boiling water. But a soft boiled egg gives you that awesome set white experience, but also that runny yolk in the center. I'd encourage people to try the soft boiled egg in that way. You just put it in a pot, cook it 6 minutes rather than 12 minutes. Take it out, let it slightly cool. If you're real serious like me, you'll drop it in a bucket of ice to stop the cooking exactly, right? But that's the chefy nerdiness in me, right? But when it comes to eggs, it's about moderation. It's about the method in which you cook.
Thank you so much, Chef Joshua. And then I've got requests for the recipes. So thank you, Ted. We will send you the recipes. Then I got a request for the whole recipe list. So we definitely will share those too as well. As part of our community resource, we will share those. And I have another question. What are some of your favorite dishes you made that incorporate healthy foods?
So I love plays on food. So, for example, when I first started cooking, one of these practices, one of these dishes that stuck with me was this raw cauliflower dish where it sounds a little weird, right? But you take cauliflower and you buzz it up in a food processor and you make what's called cauliflower rice. So when you take cauliflower florets, right, you buzz it in the food processor, you kind of pulse it till you have the exact right condition or the consistency that you're looking for. And then you simply dress it with extra virgin olive oil, lemon juice, herbs. You can throw in any other raw vegetables you'd like. I love plays on things that are supposed to be something, but they're not actually, right? Instead of eating a pile of white rice, I'm going to make cauliflower rice, right? Another good example would be, cauliflower mash, right? We're taking what typically would be a starchy potato and substituting it something that's nutrient dense and rich, adding a little bit of fat, adding a little bit of flavor, but still giving you that pleasant sort of feel. I love any dish that does that. One of my favorite go-tos, and I can provide some recipes for this maybe off the cuff at some point here, would be a play on grits. Um, Grits is typically a corn-based grain that goes to make that dish. I love taking quinoa and making quinoa grits, which again might sound a little odd, a little weird, but you're taking a whole grain and cooking it like grits. And what we do there is we take quinoa, we toast it, we rinse it, and we toast it like you normally would before you cook quinoa. And then we buzz it in a blender to like it's a really fine powder. And then we cook it just like grits. It's more delicious, it's more nutrient dense, and it's a great alternative to regular grits. So there's just a couple examples of how I get nerdy and love healthy foods that are kind of done in a way that you might not expect.
Well, Chef Joshua, you threw down the gauntlet as a Southern girl with that grits. All right, we might have to try. But
Awesome.
love cauliflower mashed potatoes and cauliflower cooked. That is great examples of some great recipes. And I've got another request for the recipe. So thank you. We will honor those requests. And we definitely will make sure that we share our resources on our videos of RUI Informed on our actual website. So next question, Joshua. You seem so passionate about your work. Have you ever thought of creating your own cookbook for seniors? Oh,
That's a
Joshua,
okay.
that's
Okay, I
good.
like where you're going there. Yeah. I think that if I were to do that, it would have to be a collaborative sort of narrative to be written, where it would be a sort of a life journey, right? Destination, the path I took to become a chef, where it's taken me. I've done all sorts of cooking, all sorts of styles of hospitality across the country. So I think, if we did that, it would have to be I don't want to say it like a Jack Kerouac on the road sort of journey, right? Where we talk about recipes on the way. But I love that. I'd be flattered to be asked to do that. Let me talk to my boss. Great question.
Absolutely, absolutely. And those communities that join Barrington, Paul Spring, Wellington, as well as Westmont, your executive chefs definitely can help with some of these recipes as well. Next question. Do you have any good meat substitution recommendations? I know we touched a little bit about the flex for the vegetarian, but any good meat substitution recommendations, Joshua?
Yeah, so I think a good go-to is always tofu. I know it's taboo in some ways, but if you go to your local Asian market, you have firm tofu, you have soft tofu. You can take the firm tofu and do stir fries, and that can be any sort of protein substitute. You can take silken tofu, soft tofu, and do purees and dips with it. I particularly love tofu puffs, which is an offshoot sort of nerdy tofu product where they take tofu, they dry it out, and they expand it like a Cheeto puff almost. And I make an Indonesian soup called laksa, and I use that tofu puff in there. Um, Another good one is tempeh, where you take soy proteins. Tempeh is a little bit less common. You can find it probably at Whole Foods, I guarantee you. Basically, what that is a fermented soybean that they soften, then they compress, and texturally it's sort of like I want to say it's sort of like a cross between chicken and pork, but it provides a really nice satiation. It provides nice sustenance and nutrients, and you can use that in similar ways to tofu, where you can put it in stir fries, you can put it in stews and soups. Those are both great alternatives to protein. um, uh, Please don't fight me on this one, but I love a Beyond Burger. I'm not gonna lie. Um, Now those Beyond Burgers come with a little bit higher of a fat content, a little bit higher of a salt content. But when it comes down to it, if it's a matter of getting protein or no protein, I find that Beyond Burgers can satisfy that need just as well. So don't throw some tomatoes, but I love a Beyond Burger as well.
Okay, we're not going to throw in tomatoes because you'll probably slice them up and have a great dessert or something after that. But tofu puffs, okay, we've heard something else new tonight,
Yeah.
participants. Here's your next question, Joshua. As I have aged, I try to minimize my desserts as I carry weight differently now. Any ideas besides fresh fruit for healthy dessert options? I still like sweet treats, but want healthy options.
That's a great question. I mean, with desserts, it's a little more difficult because when you get into sugar substitutes, like you get stevia and all those other substitutes, those are okay to use those substitutes in desserts. I love, again, this is a little bit off the beaten path, but an Italian granita, right? And granita essentially is like a sorbet or it's like a water ice almost. I'm from Philly, so I'm always thinking water ice. But a granita is a simple execution. You can buy them pre-done in stores as well, but to make it at home is super simple. You take a really natural fruit juice, like you could juice oranges yourself, you could juice lemons yourself, right? Add a pinch of a sweetener. Natural honey is great. I love PA wildflower honey for that. But a granita where you take a natural fresh squeezed juice, add a touch of sweetness if it needs it, and then you just freeze it straight up in a freezer. And then what a granita is what defines it as granita is you take a fork and you scrape the iced surface of it. So it creates this, again, water ice-like slushy sort of amazing mouthfeel. So again, you can use sugar substitutes for baking. There are great no sugar added ice creams and stuff like that, but a granita is a little bit off the beaten path, uh, and we can provide a recipe for that as well. So
Thank you, Chef. We appreciate that. Are there any more questions while we have our expert in making sure that we have great recipes? Well, you have been a great audience tonight. Joshua, as you go to the last slide so we can invite our participants to our next RUI Informed. We're looking forward to you all that have been a repeat to come to our next, The Power of Touch. We'll have our very own Lauren Burkhart talk about how we can connect by doing little things and relax and making sure we're having that peaceful balance at the end of the day. So join us April the 16th from 4 to 5 o'clock, and we will have you be able to scan this QR code now or actually take down the link and you can chat or register today. You've been a great audience. We will get those recipes out to all the people that email. We thank you for your time and attention tonight. And Chef Joshua, thank you for taking us on this culinary journey to make sure we are healthy each and every day. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Bye bye.
thanks, everyone.